Happy trails, Hans.
Action movies are fun. No genre can beat the thrill and ferocity of action. There is always this universal excitement when the hero goes struggling against incredible life-threatening odds, may it be a fist fight, a shootout, or a chase scene. It just makes us go like, holy shit, this is so cool. But there are only so many Fury Roads out there. By that I mean a full 120-minute action riot. Instead, action is a genre with tremendous crossover potential. It is often the main component with materialistic genre hybrids. We got action in science fiction, action in superhero movies, in crime thrillers and adventure movies. There is all kinds of stuff. But even after that, most of the time we get the same dull and repetitive action flicks. Action movies are losing their charm, probably because of the extensive use of CGI, weak characters or villains, or even just because of shooting bad action. This puts up the question, what makes a good action movie? And what better way to answer this than by analyzing one of the best action movie of this decade, John Wick. An American neo-noir gun-fu action thriller directed by Chad Stahelski and David Leitch from a screenplay by Derek Kolstad. There has to be something which turned this anonymous project into a sleeper hit, into a developing franchise. They even got a TV series coming which will revolve around the Continental Hotel. While the action will blow your mind, there are two more elements which helps the movie stand out from being just another action flick. And I'll jump right into it without wasting any time. The first one, for the sake of categorizing things, is the story. This is where most action movies fall apart. Story is always the heart of any movie because movies are first and foremost about telling an engaging story before all the punching and shooting comes in. Good movies often have a well-paced story with clear character motivations and arc. Now I know a lot of people don't think John Wick as a decent story. Yes, the synopsis looks pretty stale and lazy on the outside, but I disagree on that because deep down John Wick is a violent story of an underworld assassin who has been robbed from his salvation. While most movies present a weakness in their hero to create attention, a constant excitement which makes us care about him every time he's in trouble. But in the money-oriented action flicks, the heroes are basically invincibles and badass. We lose all the tension and reasons to care about them. But wait, by that understanding, John Wick seems to be no different. And that's where the simplicity of the script shines. The writer uses this formula of an invincible hero and creates a narrative and conflict around it, which is deeper and internal. It is about John's struggle with the pain, anger, and hatred inside him. So the question isn't will he survive out of this, the question is will he choose to kill. This gives the movie a free pass to create unrealistic yet extremely cool action set pieces while never compromising the story. We constantly see his character developing. It goes on in subtle ways because the movie is inspired heavily by silent films. So we see little hints instead of dialogues from his character oozing out, waiting to explode. From a pain-filled human being to choosing to become the devil to embracing his demons, his arc goes all the way to the finale of the second chapter. The reflections of the soul is literally the reflection of his conscience.
Vengeance, it's all you have.
Resulting in John accepting this life.
I'll kill them all.
This makes it easy to figure out why he entered this world again in the first place and why he tried to kill himself. Because he knew there is no other way to lose this life and he wanted to get out. Next is the one aspect of the screenplay which actually impressed the critics, the world building of John Wick. The mythical city of John Wick is filled with a network of spies and assassins governed by a ruling body, the High Table. This articulates perfectly with the theme the movie wants to convey. But before I explain that, first of all, world building is an important part of a movie. Any movie, be it a franchise or not, we need some time to comprehend the rules of the universe in which our characters are running around. Great world building sets up the world as a multi-dimensional character while exploring its attributes to build a strong immersive experience. For John Wick's fabled world, the writer used a very intelligent tool to their aid. They wrote John Wick as a sequel to a movie that doesn't exist. This creates a strong sense of history between every character, and all these interactions reveal a small portion of a vast world we aren't aware of.
Evening, John.
Evening, Jimmy. Noise complaint.
While most movies tend to vomit all the exposition in the first place, John Wick does it gradually and expects the audience to keep up with this. All of this inflicts that this world has been here for a while and we are only given a glimpse. On top of this, John Wick never misses a chance to lure us into its mysterious underworld with its own clearly established language, economy, laws, and culture. By language, I mean the way characters speak to each other, which is almost exclusively in euphemism.
I'd like to make a dinner reservation for 12. I was dealing with an uninvited guest.
Working again?
No, just sorting some stuff out.
The currency of this world is a gold coin, tangible yet of undefined value, acquired by providing a service which ultimately connects to termination of a life. But all of this just serves to distance the participants from the gruesome reality of their chosen profession. All of this is just a way to present their world as civilized. John understands this because he got out and had a chance to look at things from a different perspective.
Civilized? Do I look civilized to you?
This movie introduces a character, sets up a fictional world, shows the character's struggle, and delivers extremely satisfying action sequences. Not a lot of movies can do this. That is why I think the filmmakers did a great job pacing the movie. Never did I feel that the movie is going too fast or too slow or even too strong,
How good's your laundry?
which makes it easier for the audience to stay engaged. And this also affects the action. Before we look into the gruesome yet artfully pleasing violence John Wick has to offer, there is one thing about placing action scenes which we can learn from this movie. The story should always decide what the action is gonna be and not vice versa. Once the writer keeps this in mind, it's easy to create action that never feels forced and is necessary for the progression of the story. One simple and productive way to do it is by linking the action sequences with important narrative beats. Let's look at the 3 most important sequences in this movie. John chooses to kill. John embraces his demons and stops before killing Viggo's son. Winston bends the rule in favor of John. The pacing of a particular sequence also has an important role in making us feel that the action is well deserved. Take the first sequence, the cross-cutting between Viggo's poem and the assassins infiltrating puts the pace to almost an exhaustion, which is why the first action scene feels like a climax to this whole bigger sequence and the first act. But when we think about an action movie, the major component is always the action sequence. How well is it choreographed or how well is it shot and directed? All of this has a significant impact on the end product, and John Wick does it really good. Like really good. I mean, what can you expect from a director duo who are former stuntmen? They really put their experiences and learnings from all these years into good use by making this stunning piece of art. Now when it comes to action in movies, there is really only one simple rule. Good action equals good choreography. We can see the example of this in all great movies, but the most relatable one is the Raid series. The whole series stood up from all the others only because of good fight choreography. To sum it up, Raid Redemption is just about this guy fighting his way out of a building, which could have been boring for the audience, but there is always something new in each encounter, which is a sign of good choreography. So the first thing that comes to my mind when I see this is the fact that we are watching the action as spectators. The camera doesn't force us to follow the action from John's perspective. Instead, it just holds back, so all the focus is now on the choreography of the fight. The camera also doesn't move uselessly to create excitement. Actually, it doesn't move unless necessary. All of this results in the audience following every gunshot and every move. And it isn't easy to do that, not just because it takes a lot of planning and pre-production, but because you need a guy like Keanu Reeves to pull it off. It may not feel like it, but an actor performing his own stunts and fights with perfection makes a lot of difference. Sometimes when an actor cannot do that, the director uses blurry camera movements and quick cuts to create excitement, but it doesn't work all the time. John Wick could have never reached the level of perfection it did without Reeves' skill set and dedication. It is also one of the very few Western movies to feature gun fu, a fighting style consisting of guns and kung fu which was invented by John Woo. But John Wick takes this concept and kicks it up a notch. Even the long and exhausting fight sequences of Chapter 2 never feels the same because these are crafted so meticulously. But there is one other thing which makes the action much more exhilarating. Let me show you 2 clips. Now this one has a decent choreography, but the background music feels very generic, like something you can find in every other action scene. Now compare that to this. The techno music is not just the background noise, it is embedded into the sequence to the point that it feels like the music is in sync with the cuts, the beats, and the gunshots. What this means is a much more neat, exciting and fun to watch experience. The music guides the fighting and even gives it a rhythm, just like a musical number. But the use of music doesn't stop there. Once you get a glimpse of it, it's easy to see the whole movie relying on it. Tyler Bates' and Joel Richards' music does what it should do and does it best. The hard rock vibe paints the world as cruel and undertoned, but also glorifying it. And the music really hits you when placed in sync with a strong narrative beat.
Hello, Marcus.
This is not a new trick. Filmmakers have kept using this for visual comedy or even just for a fun experience. Take Edgar Wright for example. But the reason it works so well in John Wick is because it reflects the theme of the world. This is a world where people wear sharp suits, everything feels precise and in order, everything works in a system. This is also the case with the cinematography. The camera creates well-balanced and symmetrical compositions, which is a good visual motive to hint the audience how this world works. Jonathan Seela, the cinematographer, gives a cryptic, mystical aura to the world like it has been carved out of the underworld itself. The movie starts off as bleak, with shades of grey, blue and yellow symbolizing John's pain and despair. And that quickly changes when he gets back to the fold. This is when the movie throws all its colors. The color palette readjusts and shifts to bright and neon colors. That's when the neo-noir elements really shine. In my opinion, it's a pretty clear metaphor for John's mentality, symbolizing that the only color in his life comes from the underworld. But Seela's cinematography uses the colors ideally to sell the vision of an underworld like this, existing apart from our normal life. We even see the red and blue color palette in chapter 2 when John is being ambushed. It is hard to notice, but it's still there, just like their underworld. But the second movie slowly starts taking things away from John. Don't get me wrong, I love the sequel. It builds on everything the first movie was praised for. Better action, more characters and huge world building, which actually took the mystery out of it, but it is a great direction for a franchise to advance. And I can never get bored from John shooting people in the face. These guys won't let me. But there is a different aesthetical identity of the first movie. Killing people with such brutality never felt so picturesque. Watching a world unfold so patiently never felt so satisfying. The music and the cinematography never felt so symbolic of this world. And all of this accumulates into providing a genuine mythical experience. And I know John Wick is not a perfect movie, it is far from it. But in the never-ending epidemic of passable action movies, John Wick is a gem, and boy, it's a lot of fun. Hey, what's up? So that was the video. Did you like it? If you did, please let me know in the comments section below. Like and share this video. It really takes a lot of time making these. And subscribe to this channel if you want to watch more. You can also check out my previous videos. That is it for now, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.